Well, the time is just gone 18 minutes past 9 a.m. as we continue with the show this morning. And time now to introduce LIFT Airlines, a brand new airline. And we know that airlines have been under severe pressure since the COVID era. And welcoming LIFT to South Africa, LIFT Airline SA. And we are joined now by the co founder and the Chief Executive Officer, Jonathan Ayache. And just to remind our listeners and our viewers that we are going to play out a clip. So you can join us on our social media platforms on the YouTube channel to view this interview. So before we get to Jonathan Ayache, let us take a look at this video.
Let's go higher, lift me higher, lift me higher. We're gonna be alright. Lift me higher, let's go higher, let's go higher. We're gonna be alright.
Wow, very, very impressive indeed. Jonathan Ayache, good morning to you and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, congratulations upfront on the successful launch of the airline, of your airline company, and much needed in South Africa. And I was just looking at that coffee being poured. It's the time of the morning where I normally have my coffee. So, an ideal place to have a good cup of coffee as well. But let's talk about Lyft. And I need to ask you upfront, how did Lyft actually come about, Jonathan?
We launched in December 2020, so it was the heart of the pandemic. It's a lot of us have put that out of our minds, trying to forget it. But for us, it was a very exciting period. The industry had been rocked, planes had been grounded, airlines were in business rescue, and we saw a real opportunity to enter the market. You could get really, really fantastic deals on aircraft leases. There were very experienced people that were available and looking to get back into the job market. And so we brought those two things together, and we were able to start Lyft with an exceptional group of people. But I think the key thing for us was to launch an airline that would do something different beyond COVID and be much more customer focused. You mentioned the coffee. It was a big discussion point. How do we get great coffee on board? And a great example of how we want to do things differently.
Well, certainly, and I'm sure there is a lot that you're going to do differently. And this is what the customer is looking for. This is what the passenger is actually looking for. And now let's just talk about the market that you are catering for. Who is the airline catering for?
I don't think there's any specific person that we cater for. We've got something for everyone. So we've got an economy cabin where prices range depending on how far in advance you book. Very affordable if you book far in advance. We also have a premium or business class cabin. So for frequent travelers or business travelers, there's a slightly more premium offering that you have more legroom. There's a slightly more comfortable experience with premium catering. And so there's something for everyone. I think the key thing that we look to offer everyone, though, is complete flexibility. And that's something that I've always found strange, is why are airlines so punitive when you need to change or cancel your flight? And for us, regardless of what ticket you buy, when you buy, you can change or cancel free of charge without any penalties up to 24 hours before your flight.
Well, that is absolutely wonderful, Jonathan. But it's also about a company that has a vision. It is also about the people who actually drive this vision. And I'm sure that there are many people that have been instrumental in coming up with this airline. And if you could give us an insight as to who some of those people may be.
Our co-founder, and I suppose the person who pulled me in, is Giron Novik. He was the CEO at Comair for many years and launched Kulula, South Africa's first low-cost airline. And so I think he had the vision and saw the opportunity to launch an airline in what seems like a very crazy time to do it, and pull together the team that we've got today and Global Aviation, who run and operate the LIFT brand, are also key to the operation and are a big reason we were able to get up and running in 90 days to get the airline from start to launch. And they had previously been doing charter flights and leasing aircraft to all the South African airlines that existed before, but they didn't have their own commercial scheduled airline like you would have, like we have, and people are used to traveling on. So that was the opportunity for them to launch their own one, and it's those, I think, those two groups that came together to do this.
Jonathan, just as a matter of interest, the name Lift, how did that come about? What was the wisdom? What was the thinking behind the name Lift?
It's actually really difficult to find a great name. And we tried in the beginning while we were launching, we were trying to come up with a name internally, and eventually realized we weren't creative enough. And so we put it out to South Africans and said, if you can come up with a name that we use for the airline, we'll give you a year's worth of travel for free. And we got 25,000 name suggestions. And I think it was 8 people who actually suggested the name Lift. And so we ended up splitting the prize across all 8. But it was a name that just, it resonated with all of us. It captured what it was that we were trying to achieve, and could just work in so many different ways beyond just being a name. So we love it. I think it was a great way as well to give South Africans something to get excited about again in that really, really difficult period just after the first wave of the pandemic. So yeah, we love our name, and we're very appreciative to those 8 people that helped us come up with it.
Well, Jonathan, the fact that you put this out in the public domain about just getting the name actually speaks volumes. It actually speaks a lot, because to us, sometimes we may think that it's just simple, come up with a name, but putting it out in the public domain, listening to people. Now, this tells me one thing, that you are serious. You are serious about your customer, and you are serious about excellent customer service, which is important in the aviation industry. And just to talk about how different, or what can people actually expect from your airline as compared to existing airlines with regards to customer service, and also looking at some other important features of LIFT Airline.
I think, I spoke a little bit about how COVID gave us that timing and the opportunity to enter the market. But really, there needs to be a better reason than just, okay, well, you can enter the market if you want to be successful in the long term. And I think what airline travel has become is it's very commoditized. You get treated very poorly. You're a ticket number, and airlines try and extract every cent that they can from you, whether that's charging you for the SMS that they send you with your boarding confirmation, or charging you for the coffee and the snacks on board. And we thought there's a better way, and really trying to give value back to customers. So for us, what differentiates us is, I think philosophically, is when we do something, we think about, obviously it has to be right for the business, but we think about how is this going to impact the customer? Is it going to make them more likely to come back? Is it going to make them more likely to feel like they've had a great experience with us? And as I mentioned, flexibility is a key value proposition that embodies this philosophy. The other one is that, you pay for nothing when you're on board. You don't take your wallet out. Everything is complimentary, from the VDE coffee, excuse me, all the way to the snacks that are on board. the fact that if you miss your flight, we will do our utmost to get you onto another flight without having to charge you. It's that philosophy, and the small things, like when you come and check in, you'll know that there's something different about our ground team and our cabin crew. They've always got a smile on their face. They're always ready to help and problem solve, as opposed to trying to enforce a specific rule and catch you out. And that's, at least, was my perception of flying before, and something we're really trying to steer away from.
Well, Jonathan, I needed to ask you this question because word on the ground is Lyft is the only airline company allowing passengers to travel with their licensed firearms to a traveling destination. Tell us more about this.
We were working with a security company in Cape Town and Johannesburg called Securitas that does help facilitate transferring of firearms. There, I stand to be corrected, but I think we've paused that for now, and we're working with AXA and the CAA and Securitas to streamline that process. But yes, we were the only airline that would allow passengers to travel. Obviously, not with it on them. It was a very secure process, but they were able to travel with their firearms.
Yes. Now, looking at where you are at this point in time, and obviously you've had the experience now in South Africa, and looking at expansion plans and possible expansion plans into other parts of Africa, are they on the cards?
Absolutely. We are already expanding domestically. So bookings are open for our new route from Johannesburg to Durban, and that will launch. Our first flight is on the 26th of October. And then we're expecting an additional 2 aircraft in November, and then we will be launching the Cape Town Durban route. So we closed what they call the Golden Triangle between Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. And then next year, I think we will look at the regional opportunities. And I think in our approach, what's very important is we're not going to grow for the sake of growth. It's important that wherever we go, we believe that there's a proper business case. It's commercially viable, because as we've seen, this is a very difficult industry. Lots of things change that we're not in control of, the fuel price, COVID, and it's important that we're growing in a responsible and sustainable way.
Well, certainly, and also I think when one looks at the checks and balances that one would actually build into running an airline, one would look at things like the high debt airline models. You'll be obviously looking at your input costs, your output costs, and at the end of the day, it's all about service and offering the best service at the best possible price, because it is about value for money, Jonathan.
Absolutely. And I think, especially more recently, the prices become very topical because there has been a change in demand from when we were in the middle of COVID, and airline prices, airfare prices have gone up. And it's primarily due to the increase in fuel costs. Since we launched, the fuel price, the jet fuel price has tripled. And it's by far our largest operational cost. And so one thing that is important to us is that there are affordable fares for people that need to travel. And so what we say to our customers is, use our flexibility. Book far in advance where the tickets are far more affordable. And if something changes, you can always cancel. So there's no reason not to delay your purchase and end up having to pay more, because prices do go up closer to the day of departure. So our advice is, we've got industry-leading flexibility. There are no penalties. You can book stress-free, and you can go online and cancel. Go do that. Go do that now. Don't wait to book your travel.
Well, definitely, Jonathan. And also, I think, when one looks at South Africa and where we are, and particularly coming out of the pandemic, things have started to open up, and it's all about service. And, you're not just an airline, you're part of a service industry.
Yeah. And our feeling is that, at least to some extent, airlines have forgotten that. and we're trying to bring back that magic. And it's in the small things. It's the coloring book that we've pulled together that we give kids so that they have something to do on board. It's in the fact that we allow people to fly with their small pets in the cabin. It's all those little things that we try and do and we focus on because they're important, because they are what customers have asked us for. And we really do listen, and we're going to continue to do that to keep the standard that we've set in the market.
Well, Jonathan, I must say, hopefully, I'm going to be experiencing that magic because I am due for a trip to Cape Town, and definitely
We
I
look
will be
forward
looking
to
at
it.
Lyft. Thank you, thank you,
Excellent.
thank you very
Thank you
much.
for having me.
Well, all the best to you and to the airline as well. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
All the best. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Jonathan Ayache, the co-founder and CEO of LIFT Airline South Africa, with us this morning, introducing to us to LIFT Airline. And again, one of the key issue here is looking at South Africa, looking at where we are, and the mission from LIFT is clear to demonstrate that South Africa can compete with the best while keeping customers at the center of their operations. And we know we can do it. That is what LIFT is saying. We lived in the most magnificent country with an abundance of talented, special people. What more could we need to make it happen? And LIFT is making it happen. The time is just gone 9:35 a.m. We come back, we're going to unravel some of the major concerns, secrets at the Mangaung prison in the Free State.